Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles. Today we have a radio shout out from the garage to you about charity rides, what it takes from the charity ride to get support bike shops to be out there, and what bike shops do to support those charity rides. So that's a win-win situation and kind of insights on both. And if you're a shop owner, this would be a great opportunity to take a listen in and see if it's something that it would work for your shop. In any case, I have today a special guest, Lindsay from MS Ride. I've been affiliated with the MS Society Bike Shop Ride in Colorado for over a good 30 years plus, and I've seen quite a bit of different benefits that you can actually get for supporting a ride as a bike shop or volunteering yourself. So in any case, take a sit back and relax and take a listen and see if you're intrigued in doing it for your own shop. If not, just to kind of see the insights of how all these big charity rides do what they do after this. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously, I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe. Hi, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, and I am Justin the Guy, and I am here with Lindsay from the MS Ride MS in Colorado. But MS Society, if you don't know, it's nationwide, and it does several different charity rides across the nation. And the reason why I'm doing a little interview here of Lindsay from the MS is because I've been affiliated with the MS Society through my parents' bike shop for the last 30 years, back in Parker Bikes. My dad really got engaged with the MS 150 just to basically just kind of reach out to the community and start his business, which he started back in '87. So this goes way back back in time, right? And in this situation where I picked up the torch years later and reflecting and working with the MS Society, I've come across a couple things as a small bike shop I am now through the shops I've worked through the interim, as well as my bike shop days at Parker Bikes with my parents. And they had a huge sense of urgency of doing this after the first year because they realized there were several different huge aspects of doing support rides like this, like the MS ride, to help not just build your brand and push you out there as a bike shop, but actually be a part of the community and actually just feel like you're engaging. And it became such a big thing that my dad actually worked with the MS Society as a bike shop coordinator for several years before he passed away. And he was the one that got all the bike shops together. So I just wanted to interview Lindsay here on a few things, bring up a couple of topic points that I feel that's really relevant today, 30 years later of doing the MS Society or the MS Ride, and how it kind of benefits. It's a partnership. It's a win-win. And I wanted to really bring that forward to a lot of shops that might be considering or looking for organizations to get involved with, and how much the MS Ride has actually supported the bike shops as much as their actual riders, as well as the MS community and charity. So a few of the bullet points. You want to say a couple of verbiage pieces about yourself there, Lindsay?
Sure. Well, my name is Lindsay Phelan. I'm the director for Bike MS Colorado. We're one of the top 5 Bike MS events in the country, and the largest charity cycling event in the state of Colorado, as far as participation goes. So yeah, we love partnering with bike shops. And one thing that specifically with Bike MS makes us unique is we're one of the most supported charity rides in the country. And so at all of our events, we try to have a rest stop every 8 to 12 miles. Sometimes now it's closer to 10 or 15 miles. But basically, we have a lot of people who maybe haven't done a lot of riding. They're not pro cyclists or anything like that. And so that's where this partnership with the bike shops is really helpful, because things happen on the route, whatnot. And people maybe have never encountered some of this. And so, of course, we have our SAG vehicles and all that, but we want to get them to you all in the bike shops at the next rest stop as quick as we can. And so, yeah, we try to have someone every 8 to 12 miles. Of course, also at the start and finish line, our lunch, rest stop, etc. But Justin, I know you've helped us out for several years personally. Of course, your dad too. Um, like, what's one of the biggest benefits you've seen as a bike shop owner, like being a part of it?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, being in my parents' shop and just being a young kid and like, what am I doing in this event? Getting up early in the morning and dealing with all this craziness on a weekend during our busiest season. And once you go through one or two of these, and you realize it has a huge impact, not just to the community, helping people with MS. I mean, every one of us almost knows somebody personally, if not know from extension somebody are affected by this. And it's one of those situations where my dad was very involved, and even with today, it helps with your branding of a shop. Like it identifies you as who you are. And when you're looking at the changing landscape that we're currently in. You got the bigger shops, you got the chain locations, and all those kinds of things. You got to try to find your actual piece where you fit in that particular spectrum. And becoming a shop that helps with community rides and doing like the MS rides specifically really helped us out because you'll be engaged with potential customers. I mean, or new friends. I mean, it's a big, huge family there, and it's a big event. It's only a couple days, and what has really helped, I've noticed, is it brings in those beginner riders, the people that do
Yeah.
need a little help. And once they find you and you took care of them on the road, they're going to come into your shop and have tune-ups done, or if they get into cycling and you help them get into cycling, they're going to get a nicer bike for that next ride. I couldn't tell you how many times I've done the MS ride while I was working other jobs, and I was doing it through the bike shop locally just to help them out, and it was one of those things that I was having such a great time that I was trying to figure out how to do this like full time, right? Like I really enjoy this, but how do I do this full time? So essentially, I reopened a shop basically in my garage, and I'm very small and micro, but this event is still just as big, and I'm still reaching out to those individuals just getting into writing. So for me, branding is huge, as you can see. Like I've launched out to Facebook and YouTube and all those social and media outlets. But I've realized, and I was thinking earlier today, that doing like the charity type ride like the MS and being out there and exposing, plus the training rides and the materials that they provide you and all those things will pay you or pay back 10 times fold instead of trying to put a whole bunch of money into like the yellow pages, if anybody knows what the yellow pages are. Things like that, like marketing that you just kind of throw out there, you never kind of really get a monetized return on it. This definitely, you'll feel the weight of it, and especially if you continue to do it, people will know like, oh, I got to get my bike tuned up to do this event, gonna go down to your bike shop, and there you are, and be like, yeah, we got a special, or do a safety check, or whatever the case may be. Give them the warm hug that back in the day, Parker Bikes in the 90s, that's what it was all about, community and warm hugs. So that being said, you're doing that, you're building that customer loyalty, right? And talk
You've
about
had
customer
some
loyalty.
of our cyclists, right? Even travel like 30, 45 minutes across town to come see you, right? Because they
Oh
saw
yeah.
you at last year's ride, and they're you were telling me a couple weeks ago they're gearing up for this year, and they've already reached out to you to say, "Hey, I need my bike tuned up before Bike MS." Like, you're having people travel even to come see you, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of those. It's kind of jaw dropping because when you're a small micro bike shop, and back in the day in Parker Bikes, we were a small town bike shop. You just would relate to just this small community around you. Well, now fast forward 30 years later, it's like, oh, we got the internet and we got this connection, and people are, once they find their mechanic, or the guy in their case, in this case, um, they're like, hey, yeah, I'll make an appointment, come and drop off a bike, have a couple of days, and do my tune up, do my magic on it, and get them all ready. So I've had customers that I've just directly affiliated with the MS. in addition to people have seen things I've done in either videos or whatever, knowing that I do the MS ride, and they're like, "Oh, can you work my bike?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they come like good 50 miles. I mean, it's a pretty big spread from. I'm in Loveland, Colorado, so you're talking about Laramie, which is an hour or so
Mhm.
north, and then hour and a half south of Centennial and Castle Rock. It's a huge draw, and it's one of those situations where people love their bikes, especially if they get into riding it. I mean, they'll even give them names. I mean, it's like one of those things like they are such attached to their bike and they want to make sure they get to know the person that's working on them. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you build that kind of trust and community from day one, either at the event or doing the safety checks and that kind of thing. That what we provide as shops for the actual event for sure.
Well, and I think too, like, you know, going back to what you were talking about with the partnership, we also don't want it to just be you helping our people, but also like getting your name out there and even exposing you to our participants. So, like, we get you on our website. We do some features on our social media of these are our preferred bike shops. You can let folks know like where you're located when you're on route so that they can come back and visit you post event. So it is also too just a great like marketing and like we said earlier, kind of branding, but it also is helping like with your public image and social responsibility, like all that too of giving back and being a part of a charity ride and helping support. I feel like especially with nonprofit events, people want to support the companies and businesses who are supporting the things that they care about.
Exactly, exactly. They would have put an investment into, you know, shops that have the same line of kind of beliefs or involvement as they are. And that's from multiple different types of charity rides, including the MS. And the MS is really, it's one of the, yeah, like you mentioned, you're one of the bigger ones in the Colorado. It's a big stamp here. A lot of people know about it. The ride is legendarily known from either going down to the gorge or going up to Fort Collins here, and it's a big a big event. And I remember we would do training rides for this several weeks, and we got apparently higher up in the ranks of the MS Society of ranking that we would do the high rollers rides, which were always
Yeah,
fun because for me I got free breakfast. I mean, it was pretty cool. But as a mechanic, but anyways,
it's the
you get
little
these.
things, right? Little
Yeah, it's the
things.
little things that makes those mechanics really happy. But I just remember these individuals. They, the high rollers, if you don't know, are the ones that have raised a certain level of money or contributed over a certain amount of years, and they're it's a well catered event, which was a lot of fun. And then you would acquire even these other customers, the customers have been riding and doing this, and it was a lot of fun. We do the regular training rides too, but we would always, with the regular training rides, fold in our community locally, like, hey, we're doing a training ride, but you guys can come tag along too. They kind of try to entice the local riders, like, hey, here's an opportunity for you to get out and ride with your new bike that you may have got from us, or just getting to riding, or you just moved here. That's another perspective too. And it's one of those things you capture these people and you're like, oh, you want to do this event, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, they're doing the event for the MS, and you're seeing them out there. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people repetitively over the years, like, oh, they find me each year and they come and say hi. They
Oh,
may not
that's
need any
fun.
work or air in their tires or anything like that, but it's that general community, and I see them, and I may that's only sometimes that's the only time I see them, but the other ones you become like good time, long time customers. It's pretty awesome.
Nice. What about too? Have you seen anything around like employee morale or even team building? Like when you've been a part of maybe some of the bigger bike shops, like, and how being a part of a charity ride, how has that helped too?
Oh, that's amazing because if you're an owner of a shop like my parents, they owned a shop and we had employees, and when you have these this event, right? It was always like the event. We work, it's It's in June. I mean, it is the busiest time of year. You're pulling your hair out. You're 2, 3 weeks in repairs. You're trying to figure this all out, and then you're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." I'm like, "Well, the planning starts way before that, of course." And it's one of those situations where everybody gets behind it. It really involves from even the flat fixer bike builder person to the sales associate on the floor. They're like, "Oh, I need you to help you to do this." They'll put in extra time because once they've gone through just one, exposed to one of these events, they completely understand. And that's for me. I was lucky because we were my bike shop, my parents' bike shop was like the first rest stop for a couple of years,
Mm.
and that was talking about Saturday morning craziness. I mean,
That's where it
because
all
the
happens,
that's when
right?
it all happens because if your bike is going to break down, it's going to be within the first 10 miles. And we were the first shop and we were just plummeted several times. But you can see how everybody just jumped into it, like both arms, like going for it. And you'd have mechanics. It is like a big team building for just our shop, as well as working with the MS people that help support the ride, and the volunteers are all great. Um, it's just the planning of it and putting it all together puts it all together. And what I'd suggest if you're a smaller shop or a medium-sized shop, and if you're an owner that is mechanically one of the mechanics too, because back in the day we all worked on bikes, but nowadays maybe just be an owner. But or you have your service manager, somebody more of your lead team do the event. Reason being, you just don't want to throw just somebody out there because I mean you can if you want to, but I really highly suggest to have something that's a little more invested. Reason being is they're going to represent your company and your personality and the warm hug better. It's just you get exposed to, I mean, thousands of riders. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's a lot of people, and you want to have your best foot forward, your best advertising of your shop and what what you provide in your niche and all that branding. Who's going to best represent that? Is the owner of the shop or their service manager? Like, oh yeah, we can take care of you in that. Because you get somebody that's, I don't know, less experienced. I don't want to talk out about them, but they're out there too helping out, but they're not going to have the knowledge or the wealth of like the more established techs that have been out there and so forth. And I know it's a pinch. It is a pinch when we were doing it because you're sending out one or two of your people out there doing the event for 2 days. But no, I mean, those repairs on the weekend could be pushed back. You can have somebody fill in for the service department for that particular time or whoever you need to be, because that's the best opportunity for you to really engage the community when they're fully engaged in season. This is like it's like the perfect storm for you to actually engage your business as in branding,
Mhm.
as in team building, and all those things come together. Yeah, it's a big pinch, but once you understand the worth of it, you'll understand, getting out there and taking care of those people, and they will come back and 10 times fold to help you out. And as being a small shop, it's one of those things like every customer counts, right? You need everybody, every customer you can get in your door is definitely going to be beneficial. And by doing these events and helping the MS doing their ride and supporting money to not just the great cause of trying to eliminate MS one day, but it's something that really helps out everybody community.
What about too, like, obviously I know for you personally it's a little bit of a legacy with your dad, but what would you say, like, has there been a favorite moment where maybe you've met someone who's living with MS or you've met a caregiver, had some interaction that like kind of year after year like you're like this is why I go back, and it maybe was unexpected, maybe it wasn't, but have you kind of gotten to know the charity and like our mission by being out there too?
Oh yeah, I mean, it it blows me away when you have somebody writing for somebody, right? And it's and I have friends that have MS, and it's kind of like you see the battle, and she got excuse me here, I get kind of choked up. Um, it's one of those things that you see in people, such goodness.
Mm.
It's just wow, you're out here. Excuse me, but what really gets me is some of these people that like they'll borrow a bike And this is like the day before the ride,
Yeah.
and they'll go ride, and it's like they had no training or any of this. So it'd be really good from the like do this better next year. But it's one of those situations where you get the opportunity to see those individuals, and they're like you see it in their eyes, like they're
Yeah.
here to do it. So anyway, it does get very kind of personal in a sense of that aspect of it. Um, but for branding, for your shop, for who you are, I mean, why are you in cycling? Why do you have a bike shop? Um, one of the answers should be doing things like this, right?
Yeah.
So that's what really kind of gets back to home. And it's like, yeah, you'll get the monetary, you'll get the repairs and the sales of the bikes later and the accessories and all that. But what it really comes down to is being out there, being part of the community. And a lot of people, a lot of shops do this with race teams and so forth and all that too. But I feel to me this actually reaches more people, more cyclists, and it gives you, ability to give a bigger, warmer hug to the community itself. And as a whole, I mean, I think you take away more from it than you get. I mean, you give back, you get a lot more back than you give it put into it for
Yeah.
sure. And I've seen that over the years, and committing to there's no question. Every year, I'm like, I'm doing it, and I have buddies that worked with me in the Parker Bikes days over 20 years ago. They come out with me currently, and we have a guys' weekend and work on bikes and have a good
Fun.
time. So it's one of those things where you can even leverage maybe former mechanics that may have moved on to other things to help you out to do this event. Those kind of things. I mean, it's one of those situations where they're always asking, "Oh, when is it this year?" And because they're like, they're affected by it as well to a point that they want to do it,
Yeah.
as much so. So it's one of those cool things, and be doing this for involved with my parents doing this for over 30 years. It's nuts. I mean, and it's just a lot of fun. I just can't say.
Yes. What would you say, if you could give one piece of advice to a bike shop that is considering joining any charity ride, but especially Bike MS, if you could give them any advice, if they were, kind of on the fence, or we've had a lot of bike shops say, they're short staffed and so they're just not able to provide support. As a fellow bike shop, owner yourself, like what would you encourage them, or what advice would you give them, to maybe say, hey, come try it this year? You know, what would be your advice?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, in the cycling industry, we're becoming short-handed all the time. But I can almost guarantee you can put up a sign like we're 1 day or 2 day delay on repairs, and that's not going to affect your business. Saying we're doing this event. I mean, how many times have you seen businesses closed down for like staff meetings or of that nature? You
Mm.
can look at that as important, but I quite honestly, it's like, yeah, you leave a couple people at your shop to run the business, and you go out there and do it. And it's not like you need to be super heavy in the sense of doing massive overhauls and that kind of thing. You're not doing that. It's all light repair. It's like a mash unit tent. It's like you're doing trailer adjustments to fixing flats, to replacing the spoke here and there, that kind of thing. And it's just one of those situations where once you do it, you'll completely understand the wealth that it'll help your business and your morale, and basically put you back to where why did you open a bike shop in the first place? You know, it's like it really is like, oh, this is why I do this. And what's the best advice is, yeah, make it a priority, not just like, oh, we got to do this, and just like, because that's a problem. Because if you think of it as just like a back burner thing you have to do, Well, that's not really good for you or the morale. But if you put an emphasis on it, like, oh, we need to make a sense of urgency on this because it's important to do, and not just for the community. It's also for the shop. It's also for those who are inspired to writing. It's you know it's your opportunity to reaching all these newer customers. And I guarantee you, about 80% of them don't have their own bike shop. Like, they're not like, oh, I go here all the time. They're like, oh, where do you, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been asked, like, where you located? I'm in London. Like, oh, okay. And you can see in their eyes, like, how do I get up here? Like, because they're in Denver, that kind of thing. But they, 9 times out of 10, they figure it out and you give them opportunities. And it's like, oh, yeah, based on appointments or whatever, we'll take care of you.
Nice.
And it's one of those situations where when you have like that big exposure, you cannot not do it. I mean, especially with the MS ride, so many riders. And it doesn't, you may not even be close. And that's the thing. You may not even be close to the route or where a lot of these, a lot of these riders are coming from. But case in point, like you made earlier, I have people driving hour and a half, 2 hours to come see me because am I the guy? Well, jokingly, yeah, but in a sense that they're looking for somebody that they've had that connection with, and they know you're going to take care of them regardless, and that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people are looking for in anything, like getting your plumbing done to electricity to having your bikes worked on. You want to have somebody that's going to take care of you.
Well, and I think that's what really the community aspect is what really separates charity rides from maybe other rides out there is just like there's a bigger purpose behind it, but also because these individuals have been impacted by the cause, they come back year after year, and so they want to find like their guy or their mechanic or their bike shop so they can have that same sense of community too, where
Yeah,
they just know like you're going to take care of them because you understand that what the event is and how important it is to them. It's not just another bike ride or
yeah,
another just getting out on a Sunday. You know, they're riding for someone else or they're riding for themselves. And it's kind
yeah,
of, we always say, like, they only get to do this once a year where they, do Bike MS. And so we want to make that day as like special and meaningful, but also then there's that year round aspect where our community is coming together. We have kickoff events and happy hours, but the same that whole sense of community still carries on as they're stopping in at their bike shop or whoever becomes that person for them too. So I don't know, that's just my take on it. I feel like there's just a different feeling at a charity ride because like there's a bigger purpose and impact. So
well, yeah, and as you know, there's a lot of things that bike shops can do, from supporting race teams or the other rides out there, or like the Sunday night crit or whatever they have going in our community, right? But this big event is kind of like the Super Bowl of rides. I mean, for charity rides in a sense, and it's a blast for the riders. It's a blast for the people involved. The volunteers are great. It's a fun thing, but when you at the end of it, quite honestly, and in the bike industry, there's like awards for like the best 100th bike shop in the nation and that kind of thing and whatever. And you see those on the doors and you're like, does that really draw is anybody gonna like, oh, I need to go in here because they're the one of the 100 bike shops in the country, or are they gonna walk in the door when they see, oh, MS, support,
yep.
banner on their door in December and go, oh, they support the MS. Oh, I get it. That's going to have more of a resonancy, resonate with the actual customers
Yeah.
better than some random award thing where, yeah, within the bike industry they know about, but anybody besides that works in the bike shop has no clue what those are. I
Sure.
mean, it's like it is meaningless almost. But if you look at, on this, support shop for the MS or whatever, the charity ride, those have more weight and they actually have more impact for customers, new customers, or people that do the actual event and everything. And if anybody's done the MS ride in either Colorado or other states, um, I mean, I haven't done any of the outer state ones, but if they're anything like ours here, I mean, you have people that just do it religiously. You have
Yes.
people that volunteer religiously. You have bike mechanics like me who are out there religiously doing it. And why are we continuously doing it? The answer is simple. It
Yes.
means something. We really enjoy doing it, and it's very impactful from helping the people out that have MS to people that are actually riding for them and to the bike shops that are supporting them as well. And so it's a win-win for the MS Society as well. And I mean, I've been around for 30 years doing this, and I've seen a lot of different staff members come and go over the years from the MS Society. And they've probably moved on to better and bigger things, but this even from the upper ranks of the MS, they were out there. It's not like they go hide in the office somewhere and this event goes on. They're out there from top to bottom. And Rebecca Howard was the first MS director I met back in the in the 90s, and she was out there hands on. I mean, it's not just this organization and nobody's only they dedicate people just to do it. No, it's everybody. It's all hands on deck. It's great.
Yeah.
It's very impactful to see that, and also as respect in reflecting that on bike shop life. When you see like myself, my parents take initiative doing it, same thing, all hands
Yeah.
on deck, and that just gives a sense of urgency from the bike shops to the MS to everything all combined. I
Yes.
can't say any more better about it.
Well, that's probably a perfect note to end on. So, I guess I'll end with if you want to find out more about Bike MS, you can go to bikems.org. And Justin, where can they find you?
I know a guy bicycles.com. That's my website there. You can also find my I know a guy bicycles on YouTube as well. So do some
Awesome.
educational videos, entertaining videos, just kind of like this old bike kind of thing. But MS is one of those things that are close and dear to my heart. So I really wanted to at least get it out there and chime out from, hey, if you own a bike shop, this is something you want to consider.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks, Justin.
Oh, thank you. So there you have it. A few good bullet points there of highlighted between the MS Society and charity rides alike, and what a bike shop is, kind of trying to do that helps to support their community and work on their branding in addition to. So I hope this gives you a couple, perspectives of, even if you're just an avid cyclist or you're doing some of these rides, it's kind of nice to know what all goes into it and what is, what is the end result. And it's one of those situations where I've been affiliated with them for over several decades, and it's just I've seen so many different benefits of it from different types of shop perspectives, from my parents' Parker Bikes days to Lee's Cyclery to my own independent shop today. So basically the message and the effort is the same. It's just different kind of outcomes out of it, which the times have changed, and that's what you're looking for too, right? But in any case, I hope you enjoyed what you listened to. I hope you got some gold nuggets out of it. Until next time, thank you for hanging out with me in the garage. And if it's nice in your neck of the woods, again, go for a ride. It's beautiful. Go for it. It's just, yeah. Every hour in the saddle is a day longer in life, right? Until next time, thanks for hanging out with me.